it was very close to the original marks, original GMAT exam, that I would say. And sometime also, one thing that I observed with the Sigma marks was the scoring, the question level was, the question were not same. The Scholaranium question were really good because definitely you get a section wise hard, medium, and low questions. So I can take a step and step, maybe from medium then to hard, right? So that helped me a lot there. I first solved the medium question, then I went to hard question. My accuracy improved. I also got to know where I'm lacking. So that was the first thing. But after that, once I have done my all the sections, I have given cementing quizzes. I know what my level is.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another debrief session with me. Today, I'm excited to have Vivek with me, who recently scored a 655, right? If you dive a little deeper in his journey, you'll realize that the 655 was a 120-point improvement. He started with a 535, like many of you guys watching this interview right now, seeking some inspiration, and this is what he could accomplish. He improved by a whopping 120 point overall, and his subsectional improvement is also worth talking about. So his quant improved from a Q84 to a perfect Q90. 100th percentile on quant is what he's achieved, which is a rare phenomena in today's time when the difficulty level of the quant section has reached greater heights. His verbal improved by 5 points from a V75 to a V80. His data insights improved from a DI71 to a DI78, which is a 7 point. So this has been a massive, massive improvement on all sections and overall as well for Vivek. What pleases me is that Vivek is here to share his journey, his learnings, the things that worked for him, the things that did not work for him, so that all you GMAT aspirants can benefit out of his journey. So Vivek, thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to this interview session. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I really appreciate it.
Right. So the improvement has been across the board, Vivek. And I'm sure I had a discussion with you earlier about this. You are extremely thrilled to have achieved your target score for the colleges you were aiming to apply into, right? But let us dive into your GMAT prep journey, because that is exactly what people want to know about, right? Let's start with the Q90, the hero of your preparation. You were at a Q84, which is not a bad place to be in to begin with, right? Clearly indicating that quant was your strongest suit, and
Yep.
this was one area where you could actually hit the ball out of the park and score a Q90, and you capitalized on it, right? So let's understand what worked for you, right? So initially, when you scored a Q84, what do you think were your weaknesses and areas where you wanted to improve on?
Yeah, so definitely like Q90 was something that helped me a lot to achieve the score. So basically I'm from an engineering background in India, so I am very heavy on quant side from the starting. But the thing with the GMAT and my previous experience with the quant was, it is not that much about speed. It is more about accuracy. Majority of the JEE mains in every exam. So even if you miss questions, but you have a good accuracy, you will get a good score. But GMAT is quite different on it. You need a both accuracy and speed to make sure that you achieve a good score. When I started my journey, I gave my mock. It was around Q84 that you mentioned. Uh, so it was the first time I was giving a test. I was not very familiar with other section. Quant was still a little bit familiar, so I was able to score it. But as I deep dive into the journey of quant, I think the major issue I was facing was about the accuracy. It used to fluctuate a lot in between. Even my quant score also went down, up also. So I was not very sure about the accuracy that I'm gonna go through. And also, one learning that I got from eGMAT was, when you give your section marks, give it like original exam, and the order of sections are very important. So one thing I used to do was a very typical Indian guy, where we used to start from verbal, then come to quant, then come to DI. But one learning I got was to start with your strengths, because GMAT varies as your sectional score also. So that was thing. Issues that I'm facing on accuracy. There were certain topics that I haven't been in touch with from a longer time, and I was making errors there. And this was something that was creating a lot of issue, because if I don't capitalize on my strongest thing that I got from knowledge from the eGMAT, I would have been not in a good place right now. So that was the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure whenever you want to improve, right, the first step is to identify the areas of improvement. And which is where I was going through your eGMAT account, and I realized that you leverage the PACE engine thoroughly, and you saved around 25 hours of your preparation time using that engine, which helped you identify your gaps. So if you could just explain how did that work for you? What exactly was Pace Engine doing?
Yeah. Yeah, so Pace Engine was very helpful. So Pace Engine basically help you if you know the topic in the starting, they assess you, and in case if you are scoring good, so they kind of put only the topics that you have been lacking on. So I think
Right.
in terms of pacemaker, it helped me a lot because when I started my preparation, I was like, I want to start with a very raw approach. I don't want to think about what I know before and what I don't. Whatever is getting added, that is an additional benefit to it. So the pacemaker in the sections, there's a section-wise breakdown in eGMAT. The course was very well structured. So in the sections where I was good, where I have worked quite a lot in mathematics that I've been using, the pacemaker saved a lot of time for me there.
Right.
So I kind of saved it, but on the topics that I was weak, it also made me realize that I am not very good at it. So I should go through the topics that has been mentioned, and that definitely helped me improve into my weak areas. Because in the starting, I was very confident that I'm very good with the quant, but when I realized and
Right.
did the topics, I realized what mistakes I've been doing. So that helped me there.
Right. Right. And whenever one wants to improve, take their abilities to the next level, what plays a very important role is the quality of questions that you're practicing on. Because if you're practicing on poor quality questions, it's going to be a false indicator of your abilities,
Sure.
right? And you will suffer highly on the test day. But this is where, again, I remember our last few conversations, right, where you were constantly working on the sectional mocks on Quant Scholaranium. You solved a lot of questions there, and you were doing really well on those difficult questions. What would you like to mention about the difficulty level of the questions on Scholaranium? Were they close to the official GMAT? Did they prepare you for the worst? What is your experience on that?
Yeah. Uh, so according to me, like on GMAT, when it comes, it is a matter of both how accuracy speed is one thing, but what are your temperament, how you enter the exam, how to, if the question came hard in the first only, how does it affect you? So with quant, I was able to save my time with the sections, but the major thing that was my score was fluctuating, and only thing I knew that would help me is practice more and more and more. The Scholaranium question were really good, because definitely you get a section wise hard, medium, and low questions. So I can take a step and step maybe from medium then to hard, right? So that helped me a lot there. I first solved the medium question, then I went to hard question. My accuracy improved. I also got to know where I'm lacking. So that was the first thing. But after that, once I have done my all the sections, I have given cementing quizzes. I know what my level is. After to improve, I think the practice was a thing. I gave section mocks. So if you remember our conversation, the only thing that let's give section mock every day. So I went to it. I gave section mock in the last 2 weeks every day for majority of my sections, DI quant, and that helped me with the temperament. Because that happens in the exam if you get a very hard question in the starting and you're not able to get it, how to deal with it, because it definitely affects the mindset in the exam day. Section marks help me with that. There was a situation where the question was very hard in the starting. How to mark them for review, come back to it. That section marks only helped me with. And this temperament, because in the final exam also, I marked 3 questions. I came back in the quant in the end. I corrected 3 of these questions. So that thing really helped me in the final exam also.
Right. I was just going through your account and I found some interesting stats here on Scholaranium. Scholaranium questions are top quality questions, okay? And if you're doing well here, you're really setting yourself, a platform to go and score a Q90 on the test. Let us take a look at your hard accuracy across these sections on the last 20 questions, okay? Because this is your most recent ability, and you will be proud to see that your number properties accuracy on the last 20 hard questions was 95%. Word problems, which is a pain point for many quant aspirants, it was 70%, algebra 75%, and advanced topic 75%. And all of these scores of 70% or above, they easily translate to a 95th percentile score, and you scored 100 percentile. So this is where you were doing really well on the portal, and you were actually prepared. So a Q90 wasn't out of the blue. It was predicted, right? So kudos to you on that. A Q90 is not a mean feat. And to capitalize on your strongest section takes a lot of strategic planning. And I'm sure we both had a discussion that you should start with quant, and I think that really helped, and you really made sure that you leave no stone unturned. And what pleases me is that you're giving a message to the other people that it's okay if you don't know a question initially. Mark an educated guess, come back to it later, and you can still score a Q90.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a great learning. Right. Let us discuss about your verbal improvement. You improved by 5 points there, right? What were your initial weaknesses when you started the journey? Let's talk about CR. what were your initial weaknesses, and then tell us what really helped.
Yeah. So from the typical background, so we don't get to solve a lot of critical listening question that used to come on the exam. So I was very unaware of the section, that what are CR question, how to approach it, what are weakness. I had zero knowledge when I started about it.
Right.
Even after RCs I have worked on, CR was something I was attempting, but I was very confused how to go about it.
Right.
Then I went to section. I did every section mock, every cementing quiz for the, and pre-thinking that came in, it helps me how to go make approach of the question. So I think pre-thinking helped me quite a lot there.
Right.
How to understand the question, and with the critical reasoning, it's not about understanding the question. The options are very close. So how I used to approach it, I used to go to the choices and then start marking the answer. And then I realized by taking the course that this is not the best way, because
Right.
sometimes there are two options that are very close, and in the end you are just
Yes.
guessing on the right one, right? So pre-thinking helped me how to bridge that gap, first understand the question, then make a similar what should be the answer, and then go to the choices. Definitely in the end there might be some tricks that would be there, but with the logical thinking you have, you can eliminate. But otherwise I don't think so I would have eliminated the question. And in the CR, one thing happened with me in the exam also, was something that I got. I don't know whether it was conventional. I was not prepared for it, but I got 13 critical question in the GMAT final GMAT exam and 10 reading comprehension. So uh, I will be very honest. I was more benching on critical reasoning in my final exam, because I solved a lot of questions. But the thing with this critical reasoning, it take time sometimes. So in the end, because I had a lot of critical reasoning, it took some time. But the pre-thinking made help me there, and I think I had somewhat 70% accuracy to critical reasoning in my final
Right.
exam also. So that pre-thinking really helped me there. And reading comprehensions is something that you practice more and you get it. But the course was very well structured. Definitely on the time that I had, I was not able to focus much on the reading comprehension. But critical reasoning was something that I really rigorously did, and it helped me a lot in the end.
Right. And what about reading comprehension? Were you an avid reader, or was reading comprehension also pain point initially?
I'm not a very habitual leader. I am from a very quantitative analytics background, so I didn't get too much reading. I just get more of an uh, things on the
Numbers and
yeah, numbers and everything.
yeah.
So I that was the weakest point for me from the starting. But the reading comprehension, I went through the approach. So even in reading comprehension, the best part is they took some sense from the sorry, from the first section. So one thing that helped me when I did the critical reasoning, it little bit setting me up correctly for the reading comprehension also. Because
Correct.
course is structured that way. If you do the critical, you are somewhat set up for the reading comprehension. It is all about practice after that and doing the right approach. So critical reasoning I did rigorously, and it helped me in the reading comprehension section also. Cementing question was very good for the reading. But yeah, saying it was not my strongest suit. I didn't budge on it. So yeah, that was it.
Okay. Okay. Uh, let's talk about data insights. Okay. You were studying at a DI 71, right? And you ended up with a DI 78. You could have done even better, right?
Yeah.
With what the way you were doing things over on the course and stuff like that. But 7-point improvement is again no mean feat, right? You did things correctly that helped you improve by 7 points. I want to understand what were your issues with data insights initially, and how did the course and Scholaranium questions help you bridge that gap and improve by these 7 points?
Yeah, like I think if you want to score well, content verbal is something everybody has done it. DI is something that is very new. That GMAT test, right? Other than the conventional test we have given in the past. So DI section when I started, it was a very new section. I didn't know how to go about it. I was what TPA, MSRs. I get very confused in between that. And even in the starting, I was like DI. I don't know whether I will be able to do it. But I think this when I went through the course, I went from section files. I think it helped me to get familiarity with what the ask here is. I was kind of putting wrong effort on the exam tests. Like I was just reading the question. If it's a TPA, I was able to solve it, but others I'm MSR, I don't know how to go. I get panic. But when I went to the course section wise, it helped me how to think about it, how to go about it, how to answer it. And the practice was something quizzes, cementing with it were really helpful for me there. One thing I would say for the DI that helped me the most was the section locks again in the end. Once I have done with the course file, so what happens in the end is you have a lot of information, but you are not sure about most of the time. Like with me, it was even after getting cementing, I was not very confident about that section, right? Maybe some part of it I was confident, but some part I was not. So what helps you after that was practice. I gave section mock majority of time. Like for last 10 day, I gave one Quant, one DI section mock every day, and it helped me how to think about, because sometimes what happens is MSR gets stuff in the between and you lost a lot of time, right? That also happened with me in section. So I was ready for scenarios that might turn up, and that keeping it in the, I was not able to solve all the DI question in the starting. I used to 14, 15, and I used to run out of time because of my mindset. I also shifted my mindset from going for every question, put in every question, to attempt most of it and get as much accuracy as you can. So in the end, section mock helped me with that also. In my last question, I was not able to attempt it, but I feel like if I would have, it would have been a little bit more higher score. So it went empty and it costed me in the end. But yeah, reaching till 19, it was helpful.
Right. This is exactly what I was trying to say, that you could have scored better if the last question was not considered as unattempted for some reason, right? Because when a question is considered as unattempted, the penalty is brutal, and that is what everybody should know about. So no matter what, attempt every question. In the end, if there's no time left, just mark something random, but don't leave questions unattempted, and because that can cost you a lot of points, right? So this is what you learn from Vivek's data insights journey, right? Vivek, you did explain how did you go about your different sections in the preparation. You did highlight how sectional tests also help you a lot. Let's come to the full-length mocks. Okay, mocks are extremely important because they actually give you some understanding of where you currently stand and how prepared or unprepared you are to go and take the test. Over the last 5 Sigma X mocks, you have consistently scored between a 635 to a 655, and you ended up scoring a 655, right? So how crucial were these mocks in helping you stay confident that, yes, I am hovering near my target score, and how close do you think for these Sigma X mocks to the official GMAT?
Yep. So I'll be very honest. I think full length mock test is something that is very important. And one thing that I struggled a lot in the start was sitting for 2.5 hours and give an exam, because it's been quite a time I have out of touch further, and sitting for that much was very hard for me. Sigma mocks came in, so I had to make my temperament that I have to attempt the whole. So in the starting when I started, so I was not very familiar with the GMAT pattern. I just started my journey, right? So to get, I think in GMAT, one thing that boosts your confidence if you're familiar with how the thing would be. For a person who started, they don't know what they can expect, and if they directly go for without like preparation without giving mocks, it will be very hard for them. Sigma X sets you up what are the expectations from the exam. You get a familiarity of the exam, right? So that helped. It was very close to the original mocks, original GMAT exam, that I would say. And sometime also one thing that I observed with the Sigma mocks was the scoring, the question level was, the question were not same. Every Sigma mock have a different question, different level question. Based on your attempt, the sectional difficulty also varied. So that is not something that will only give you just you are repeating the same mocks as in the GMAT official mocks you give, right? So in that you can attempt it again, but the questions are repeated, and that gives a false sense of your abilities. But Sigma mocks are like really precise. They help with to test you with a new question. The test gives you a new challenge. So that was the thing. Saying it in the last, when I started, I was 535, but I think with Sigma mocks, when I scored a 645, I was very confident. That boosted my confidence a lot, that I can go to it, because in the starting when I was giving it, it was even after giving it very consistently, I was not able to score. I was scoring 585, something like that. I scored, and I was like even after giving my best. So after that, I realized let's circle back. Let's start going through the concept well thoroughly, and giving section mocks. I used to in the end of my journey, I was the section that I was facing issues with. I used to do that also, and I precisely used to do section mocks also. I didn't give up on them in the end, so that I don't forget an on topic on logic, because it was happening in the critical reasoning. I was able to solve weaker question, but in the assumption question, I was facing an issue because I kind of get out of the concept how to go about it, right? And Sigma mocks helps you with a very detailed analysis of where you're lacking, and because you have 5 tests, right? So you get, if a section is getting highlighted, then definitely it's an issue, right? So it gives you an insight also where you have to work on. So after that, giving the section Sigma mocks, I identified where I'm lacking and started practicing those, giving a section mock after that, and then finally I gave a last section mocks, and I think that helped me with my confidence also, that if I'm scoring here, I think I should be in the
good on
in
the
the
test
exam.
as well.
Yeah.
Right. So if you just look at your mock scores, these are your mock scores. It's all 645, 655, 635 in the middle, again a 635, but then again a 655. So when you're within that range, it always gives you the confidence, right?
Yep.
So again, congratulations to you on that. So we are coming towards the end of this session now, Vivek. Any final tips and strategies that you would want to share with the GMAT aspirants?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think there are a few things that I would really tell people who are aspirants who are preparing. The first thing is, getting similarity with the GMAT helps. So always start with the mock, read your abilities, and get familiar with the test. After that, you can start preparing. Other than on the test day, definitely sometime when luck is not your favor, the hard question might come up. But I realize that by giving questions Scholaranium sectional marks, that sometimes the question is not that hard, but you have read it wrong. So in that case, you're not able to solve it. So be ready for that. Maybe 1 or 2 questions in the exam. You can circle back again in the end. But don't lose the confidence there. Just came back and because maybe when you come back, you can read. Sometimes happens that you can read it right or you can solve it. That happened with me. So that is the one thing. So don't lose your confidence or don't panic. Other than that, I think GMAT is a game of accuracy and speed. So you can't excel it with only one thing. So you have to practice more, go through the concept file very thoroughly. And final thing that I think I would put the most uh, pressure on to solve as much questions as you can in the end after doing the concept files. Because if you start on it, you don't know what the issue you are facing, and you will again face it until the concepts are clear. Because GMAT is the game of concept. It's not about just questions. So make your concepts really clear about the questions. So I think these things help me. Definitely there is still improvement I can make, but yeah, these are my learnings.
Sure. So thank you so much, Vivek, for doing this with us. You explained your journey, things that worked for you, things that did not work, and very candidly. And I really appreciate that. So thank you so much for doing this. Congratulations to you on a solid 120-point improvement once again. Please stay in touch and let us know how your application goes. And once you secure an admit, we would be really happy to celebrate that also with you.
For sure. And one thing I just want to add, I just want to give a credit to the eGMAT team. So I think one thing that helped me most was I didn't in the starting I was not discussing with anybody, and in the end when I started discussing, we connected multiple times on how to go about it, and it gave me a lot of clarity to how to approach the test. So I think taking out time helping me there, I think that was really kind of you and very helpful for me. So thank you so much.
I'm glad, Vivek. I'm glad it turned out to be in a successful attempt. So that is what pleases me more, and all the kudos to you, right? So stay in touch. Let us know how your admission goes, and we'll be happy to cheer for you from here.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.